All right. What's up, guys? We welcome back to another video. Today, we are going to be making a Queen Charge Lalo guide at Town Hall 13. I don't have that many more. I don't have much more time to record this just because my Town Hall is upgrading and it's gonna be done in 20 hours, as you can see. And I did try to make this video like a week ago, but the recording was kind of messed up. And essentially I had to delete it. So right now we're just trying to make a new one. So yeah. Anyways, in regards to this attack, this is my currently my favorite attack. And the one that I probably use the most. I think it's quite effective at Town Hall 13. There are some other strategies such as Blizzard Lalo and Queen Charge Hybrid. Those are the other two that I recommend at Town Hall 13. But if you're struggling to get a lot of 3 stars, you could definitely consider this strategy. I think it's a really strong one. So yeah, we'll just kind of get right into it. Um, this is the army comp, as you could see. Um, so this army, first of all, my heroes are maxed, and that really helps. Along with every troop and every spell. Um, that's all of that is really helpful for sure. I'd say the most important stuff you want to max out if you're not a max Town Hall 13, you want to max out that queen for this army. This is a queen charge attack. Along with probably the major troops in this army, which are probably going to be the lava hound and the balloons, and probably the wall breakers as well, just so that you can break the walls easily. Um, Now, the main thing that you want to know when you do an attack strategy like this one is that really the main kind of criteria for this attack to work is you have to really master the queen charge, because this queen charge is probably going to take care of most of the base. That's the goal with this. It does say this army is a queen charge Lalo, but I would say that the Lalo is not necessarily the most important part. This is not a particularly, I would not say that this is a particularly hard attack, even though it might be regarded as by others, just because really, if you do this properly, you don't actually have to Lalo much of the base. And usually the Lalo is the part that requires a lot of skill in most of these type of attacks. However, here in this army, you really just have to be good at doing a queen charge. That's the real main way that you're going to 3-star with this army. And you'll notice that I kind of went heavy in and I went with a pretty heavy investment into this queen charge. You can see that I've brought in 3 rage spells and a jump and 3 freeze spells plus the poison. Now, main thing with your army, you should always bring a poison. I'd say for 99% of armies. The one exception to that is probably like Skelly Donuts or maybe like Super Archer Blimps. Because Super Archer Blimps, you probably take out the CC with your archers or your heroes, and then Skelly Donut, obviously, you take out the CC with other spells, so you don't have to deal with it. But really, in every other army where you do have to deal with the CC, you do want to be bringing a poison spell. So that's kind of a given. Um, the 3 rage, jump, and 3 freeze spells, those are all really supposed to be for supporting your queen charge. And you could also technically support the king and the RC with that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I would say you're really investing a lot into this queen charge. This you don't when you see queen charge Lalo armies, you don't actually always see the jump spell. That is kind of optional in a way. However, I personally prefer to have the jump spell. I think it offers a lot of control to the army. And I think that's really important with this because you really want to be queen charging most of the base, maybe like 80% of it, like I said. Um, and really, you're only saving 1 haste for your Lala, which is really not that much. Um, it's yeah, it's a pretty small investment. So, um, really, I would say most of your army should be geared towards this queen charge. However, if you do realize that maybe you're going into a lot of splash damage, for example, with your Lalo, if what you're leaving behind without your queen charge, let's say you're in a scenario where your queen charge cannot take out like a certain area of the base that has a lot of splash, such as like scatter shots and multi infernos, and it's not an area you want to deal with your Lalo very well. You can save some freezes for that. You can save some freeze spells for that area with your Lalo, and maybe try to get something out of it. But so I would say the freezes are the most flexible in this army, in this like spell comp, but everything else kind of has an assigned purpose. Um, so those are the spells. For the rest of this army, yeah, let's talk about the siege for a second. So the siege machine I'm placing with this army is the Flame Flinger. Um, that's the one I've been trying to use the most. I think it's the most effective in my opinion. Um, I think it's also base dependent. A lot of bases, there will be bases where Flame Flinger doesn't really get good value, and instead, I think the alternatives are you bring a Yeti Blimp. I would say. Yeti Blimp is also very strong, and also probably like a Stone Slammer. That's the third option I would say. Personally, I don't really use the Stone Slammer at all. Though it is completely usable. You can try it out for yourself if you prefer. I have used the Yeti Blimp a few times. It's not bad. But I personally find the Flame Flinger to be of better value. And I've had better results with it. So I'm gonna keep sticking with the Flame Flinger here. Um, and really, this attack kind of break it down how you do this attack. You want to first funnel your queen in. You want to funnel your queen charge into the base, and you want to take out some section of the base with your queen. You want to take out another section with your king and your RC. Probably bringing it one. You're probably saving one of your wall breakers just for that, allowing your king access into the base. Um, so you take that with the king and the RC with another part, and then a third part of the base you take out with the flame flinger, with the Yetis inside. That should be quite strong. And then whatever you have left over after all three of those at the end of your attack, you're going to be doing the Lalo. So yeah, to explain just kind of the more generics of this army, kind of what each part of this is doing. Archer is kind of filler space. You can use it as maybe like pulling a CC, for example, to a corner of a base if you really want to. Otherwise, you can use that as cleanup. The three sneakies and the baby dragon are all for funneling. Usually you can funnel with all of that. Those are mainly funneling your queen charge, or if you have extra, maybe you can funnel your king and your RC into the base. That's also another great option. The Yeti might seem a little confusing. Maybe this is something you don't always see with this army, but the Yeti, for me, it does a really good job of shielding for the Flame Flinger. You always want to put the Yeti in front of your Flame Flinger so that it can test for hidden Teslas or maybe traps, or maybe it just tanks a few shots for a mortar so that your Flame Flinger doesn't take that much damage. That's another really good option. But really, I'd say the Yeti is pretty easy to use with the Flame Flinger to kind of act as a shield. If you're at a higher level and you maybe a pro player, then you probably see them use giants and barbarians instead. But I think the Yeti is more easy to use than a giant and a barbarian. I think it takes a little more timing practice to use those other troops. Healer is pretty obvious for the queen charge, balloons 22 for the Lalo, and I would also say use at least one or two loons just to test for seeking air mines and for your queen charge. Minions for cleanup and headhunters. You could arguably try to swap out this army and bring some more headhunters, but the idea is you have to use them to take out the enemy royal champion or the enemy queen. Generally, your queen charge or your king and your RC pair is going to take out at least one of those two heroes. I would strongly recommend you try to do that. And then the other hero you're gonna send in with you're gonna attack it head on with your Lalo with also the warden ability protecting your headhunters. So that's what I would typically recommend. That's kind of the breakdown of this army. Again, it's kind of flexible. You can swap out. I encourage you to swap out anything if you realize that something is something you might want to change. For example, in a war, if you're in a war attack and you have time to prepare, and you scout the base and you see maybe the funnel is not as good with the baby dragon, maybe I could just bring like a fourth sneaky goblin to funnel. I definitely do that. You can obviously swap out small parts of this army. Maybe if you're more skilled, you can swap out that Yeti. Or, if you determine that you really want to just send your Lalo through the two enemy heroes like the king, the queen, and the RC. You can bring 4 headhunters instead of 2. There's a lot of modifications you can make with this army. And certainly feel free to do something like that. Don't just take this army and just say, oh wow, this is gonna work on everything. You armies pretty much won't work 100% of the time. You just try to make them work as much as you can, right? So that's kind of my say on this thing. And yeah, so that's the army. I'm gonna show a few replays of how I do Queen Charge Lalo, and then I'm gonna do a live attack at the end. Um, and interestingly enough, there is actually one fail in my attack log that I would really want to show, simply because I want to show you like what can go wrong in a Queen Charge Lalo and how to kind of avoid something like that. So you can look at my attack log right now. Quite a lot of triples. That 87% 1-star is the one I'm going to show you guys. That's the fail. I do want you guys to see how I failed that. But otherwise, pretty good triples all around. There's 99%. I think this was a time fail probably. Oh, I didn't even use a siege machine, did I? Oh no. Oh, I think I remember this attack. I forgot to bring a CC. That's the reason I failed this one. You can see the Stone Slammer being used because I did not have a Flame Flinger, and I did not have Yetis inside or any CC spells. So but yeah. Yeah. So those are pretty much all the replays. The first one I'm going to show you is the one I did just most recently. I think this one is very instructive. So let's just hop right into it. Okay, so this attack, you could see the reason I decided to attack this base is because I think this one is a good one for Queen Charge Lalo. And the reason is I think the Queen Charge is pretty good. It has good value and it's not too hard to Queen Charge. How you can identify that is you can try to kind of see you want to look for bases that don't have like ridiculously high amounts of damage in like certain areas, right? Because if you queen charge into areas like those, your queen just dies pretty easily. And the worst thing that can happen is your queen dies early or your queen dies through ability or something like that. Those are all scenarios that you're like kind of you're setting yourself up for failure. So my idea with this base when I planned it out in the few seconds before I was able to attack it, I decided I wanted to start charge right into one of these multi-infernos. The reason why is because I could if I were queen charge at the bottom, first I don't think it's not easy to get that much value just because you have to move through quite a few walls. And also these 2 sweepers are pointing directly down this way. So I don't think that's the best way to do it. And if I attack from this top side over here, I'd have to deal with the single inferno, which I could do. That's actually not too bad of an idea. I prefer that I don't deal with too many single infernos when I queen charge. You obviously can deal with like maybe a few, maybe 1 or 2, especially if they're like very easy to access. But in general, you want to avoid them as much as you can, just because again, you want to avoid extremely high DPS on your queen. So that's the idea with this. And this is just kind of some game knowledge and just watching like top attacks and stuff like that. But when there's like I would say this town hall is a little more to this side rather than towards the center. It might distance wise it might be towards the center, but it doesn't with these two sweepers like here, I would say let's just kind of call this like a exposed town hall, not really exposed, but like more closer to the side. When you have a town hall that's close to the edge and two sweepers like this, there are technically four, I'd say, or really like three ways you can enter the base. You can attack directly into the town hall at the bottom, like this. You can attack directly from the top into the single inferno, or you can attack into a multi-inferno from the side. Either this one or this one, for example. Typically with bases like this, I think the best results come from attacking from the side into a multi-inferno like this. It doesn't have to be a multi-inferno, but it's typically into the side of the base. Attacking from the far end is usually quite baited. Usually, if you do something like that, maybe it's really hard to get the town hall. Like if you queen charge from here and you start there, and then your queen, for example, doesn't get the town hall, it's going to be pretty much impossible for you to Lalo into this town hall to take it down because of these two sweepers. And there's going to not only the two sweepers, but there's also going to be a lot of traps around this town hall for sure if the base is well designed. So I think typically from the side is a good idea because in here you can you can control the path of your queen. This is actually a base building error. Notice that the town hall over here is completely reachable from say this from this left side around this air sweeper. You don't want to do that in your base building. You don't want to make your town hall easy to access from really any angle because then people will just try to attack from that angle. You don't want to make that town hall easy to go down. So I think the best way to charge is from here. And my plan was I wanted her to go to the right. Why? And why not to the upper side? Well, mainly because you want to take down this town hall, right? I think the goal of this queen charge is to take down the town hall so that my Lalo doesn't have to. And if I go upwards, I have to deal with a single inferno. And luckily, this base has one good design to it, and that's the fact that this queen the queen cannot reach the single inferno from over this wall, from any way. And that is good for the defender because it means that single is going to lock on. If that single locks onto my queen, she's going to be gone. So that's something I want to avoid attacking from this side, from my queen going towards this side. So what do? Well, first of all, I start the queen charge. First, I funnel. When you funnel for a queen charge, always funnel the left side and the right side of where she's going to go. This side, I saw there's collectors around here. I can funnel with sneakies, and that is a common trend. You can usually funnel with your sneakies, at least one side. And this side, I can funnel with the baby dragon, so I go ahead and do that. And I just kind of let it go, and then start the queen charge, right? Wall break pretty fast. Coco Loon to test, and 5 healers. So now I know that she's gonna go into the base. And that's great, right? That's always what you want to have happening. This is a key part of your attacks is making sure you know how to funnel. This one was a pretty easy base to funnel. But there are more complicated bases to funnel, which you might have to prepare for a little bit more. Notice how I also send the Yeti. Why am I doing this? Well, from my talk earlier, my Yeti is supposed to defend kind of shield for my flame flinger. Now there is a little bit of something hard about this base, which is that this Yeti doesn't really tank for this flame flinger at all because it's in range of the mortar. But it's okay. It's not a big deal. Because the mortar is going to go down pretty quickly with the flame flinger and the Yeti on top of it. So yeah. And the reason I'm sending my flame flinger here is that I want to funnel this entire left side of the base with the archer tower and the air defense and the wizard tower. I'm funneling all of that because I don't want my queen to go up that way. I don't want her to go towards that 9 o'clock area or that 10 o'clock area. I want her to go down and towards this town hall. So I'm funneling that top side. And that's why I send out the flame flinger very early because I want those defenses down as quickly as I can. Okay, now you recognize, now one thing you have to recognize is whenever you're queen charge, you need to be very aware of what's happening to your queen. This is like the main focus of your attack, right? So what you need to be noticing here is she's about to run into an expo and a scatter. And those are some really heavy defenses, and maybe even the scatter later on, right? So there's stuff you need to be aware of, right? Those are the really heavy DPS. And this is like a moment where you realize you have to raid your queen. If you don't raid your queen now, she is going to be in trouble against the scatter and the expo. So yeah, that's why I rage here. And I'm glad I raged because she did take out she took some damage, and I placed the jump. I think, yeah, here I could not place a wall breaker around this like Christmas tree area because that would target the upper wall over here, going into that area over there, because that area, the wall is actually opens up access to defenses. But here I'm not 100% sure if the wall breaker would have targeted this area, so I used a jump. I think the jump is better. Again, like I said before, the jump adds control to the attack. You can control where your queen charge is going, like I am here. And I don't need the jump later on either, because I know that once this queen is like in this area in the middle of the base near the scatter, she's gonna have access to everything she needs. So that's why I placed the jump there. And with the rage on the healers, she is surviving quite well. Again, you need to keep your queen alive. That's the main core part of this attack. So I'm just waiting for her to go. And notice that since I funneled that top side with the flame flinger, she is going to go to the right. Now, she's not going to go to the left where there was originally defenses, because there are no defenses now because of the flame flinger. So now she's going down, and she's going to take some time, maybe go for this eagle, maybe take some time on this clan castle, but eventually she is going to take this town hall, and that is important. So this is going well so far. And I think here I was starting to get a little bit afraid of this air defense, because I thought my healers might get into range of this air defense. Looking now at this like range, now looking at the replay and noticing the range of the air defense, that probably was never happening. However, it is something that I was kind of afraid of during the attack. I did not want this air defense to lock onto my healers, because then I'd probably have to invest some freeze into it. So I decided, okay, now is a good time to start trying to go for this air defense with the king and the RC. So I think pretty soon I sent the king to that bottom side. Yeah, like I did right there. And I was going to wait on the RC because I wanted the king to get up a little further to tank some defenses before the RC went in, so that she could stay alive for a little longer. So yeah, we're just waiting for that to go on. And notice that there's a lot of heavy damage back here, right? The enemy queen and the expo and the scatter are over here. And that means it's definitely time to be ready to place another rage down pretty soon. Because you want to identify those really heavy hitting areas. Now I did also, okay, this is something I've kind of learned from trial and error with this specific army. That's the fact that the eagle actually activates quite early. And typically what I see is that if you place a lot of spells and your siege and your queen with the queen charge, if you place all of that really early and the eagle activates, a lot of times if you're really not careful, that eagle will actually lock onto your healers. And that is really bad. You never want to have the eagle locking onto your healers, because if your healers die, your queen charge dies, attack is usually over, right? So how can you prevent that? Well, one great thing that I think I've learned from my attacks is that you can usually prevent the eagle from locking onto your healers if you have deployed your king. Because if you've deployed your king, which has such high HP, the eagle will actually lock onto that king a lot of the times, and that's good. The king can take the eagle shots pretty well. That it is good if your king if the eagle locks onto your king over other stuff. So yeah, I would say what this means is that you should probably try to send your king somewhat early in the attack. You don't want to send him super early where he's taking a ton of damage for no reason, but you do want to send him early enough so that he takes the eagle shots instead of your healers. So luckily, yeah, I think the eagle just activated here just because I placed that rage spell, but the queen is also about to take it down, so that's not really an issue. And notice she locks onto the town hall, and there is an enemy king and the expo and the scatter locked onto my queen, and this hidden Tesla actually. So this is time where you need to focus on the queen, right? She has to stay alive here, and ideally don't let her ability go off. So here I place the rage, and now I decide to freeze. Okay. I also let the ability go off, which is a little mistake on my part. However, honestly, looking at this, maybe it could have been prevented, maybe not. Maybe if I freezed a little bit earlier, it could have been prevented. But that queen ability you should always use as like a one-time save. You know, that's one chance where you get to save your queen, and now if she dies again, you know, now everything's going to be a lot worse, right? So I take out the king with that. And now I realize, okay, I don't have a queen ability anymore. She's about to not be invisible anymore. And she's about to go up here, and she's gonna get locked onto by this queen, potentially this warden, which at Town Hall 13 does do a lot of damage on defense. So with 1, 2, 3, 4 heavy hitting defenses here, you know, you're gonna have to do a lot to save your queen here, and she doesn't have an ability, so you gotta really keep her alive there, right? So what do? Well, I start investing freeze spells, right? You gotta use those freezes to keep your queen alive now. Now this is like important moment because you have to start doing everything you absolutely can to keep that queen alive. So here's what I do. I know she starts locking onto skellies, so that's a little bit unfortunate because she's taking unnecessary damage, but that's okay, because what I do next, I just simply freeze again, because again, you cannot have all of those guys locking onto your queen. And luckily, now that she's taken out those heavy hitting defenses, now I'd say the high damage is kind of over, at least temporarily, right? She's not going to be taking damage for a little bit. So now is the time when you can start focusing on the other aspects of your attack. And notice how much of the base we've taken out already. We've taken so much of the base. We've taken out the entire left side with our Flame Flinger, the entire right side with her King and RC, and the entire middle is completely gutted with our Queen. So now it's kind of just a race against the clock. If this is how your attack is looking, you should recognize that you have enough power to get through the rest of the base, and therefore you just gotta fight the clock. And when you gotta fight the clock, it means you gotta start your Lalo. That's what that means. Typically, in these queen charge attacks, you want to start your Lalo when you have a little more than at least 1 minute left in your attack. The Lalo can go really fast, so you can actually wait those first 2 minutes of your attack without even starting the Lalo. That's usually okay. But I would say when you start under a minute, that's when things get really dicey, because that's when you're at huge risks of time fails. So you can notice here, the replay ends in 55 seconds. I probably had like a little more than a minute here, maybe even like a minute and a half, honestly, because this attack again kind of wrecked this base pretty fast. So yeah, and now I'm starting the Lala right here as I speak. So again, you can just notice that this replay ends in 50 seconds, but notice how fast this Lalo goes, and also notice what I'm doing. So here, I threw the wall breaker because why not? It's kind of useless at this point. But what I do is I instantly throw the Headhunters and Warden ability. I will do that in a lot of my attacks. I don't know if it's the best decision or not, but it's the one that keeps the attack really simple. And the reason is, again, I'm just trying to get rid of that Royal Champion. That Royal Champion is the one thing left in this attack, in this base, that can ruin my attack, right? If it manages to find a way to kill off all my balloons, right? So I'm just going to take care of it really quickly. And then the rest of the base will be pretty easy. And this really, the only threat left is this multi-inferno. I don't think it can be reached by this queen. But I do have one haste spell left in my comp, and you can see that. I also have a ton of loons. Always place the minions immediately after the loons. That's how you avoid the time fails. And yeah, this base is pretty much gone. I have so many loons, and I just use the haste really quickly, I think. This is completely crushed. And okay, remember, I started the Lalo at like 50 seconds. It's 29 seconds. It's been 21 seconds since I started the Lalo, and every defense is dead. That Lalo can go by really, really quickly, right? So you want to, so it's okay to wait very long for your queen charge for that, but just don't wait too long. Don't wait until you have like 40 seconds left in the attack. That is kind of cutting it. That's actually really cutting it. I strongly recommend you don't do that. But yeah, now nothing left in the base. The rest of the base is just cleanup, which takes very little time. There's some building left over, but that doesn't really matter. That's kind of how this attack goes, right? So yeah, that's kind of just how it went. So yeah, we will go back. And yeah, I will show you a couple more replays, hopefully. Yeah, though I do want to show the fail first again. Again, I do want you guys to see what can go wrong in this attack. And you might be able to guess it. The problem arises when you charge into an area with too much DPS. That's what happened in this attack. So even though this town hall is actually upgrading, this attack like completely fell apart. And this is an example of like a time when you don't want to use such an attack like Queen Charge Lalo. It maybe a good player can still triple a base like this with a Queen Charge Lalo. Maybe I just planned it wrong, honestly. But yeah, my idea here, I think my plan was to charge into this bottom side and then jump through this wall. And then try to get my queen around this wizard tower to take out all this damage and take out the town hall and whatever, and just Lalo the back end with this scatters here with yeah, and just, you know, go ahead like that. But what I didn't realize at the time when I was planning this attack was that there was actually a ridiculous amount of DPS here, particularly the fact that there's 2 ground expos here. And I'd have to, and the single inferno means I have to invest freezes early on. And the enemy queen is here. This is a lot of DPS. And you'll actually notice exactly what happens to my queen in this attack. So first I try to funnel. And actually this base, I think I messed up the funnel. If I remember correctly. Because I think I wasn't able to take out this mortar with the queen charge. So she actually is going to go around. She's not going to go into this single inferno compartment because this mortar is still standing, and she's going to take a turn to the left, and then she's going to kind of, once she takes a turn from the left with this corner open like this, she's not going to go in. That's why this corner wall is so strong on defense. And notice she just keeps walking now. I have to freeze, and I think here I was like, okay, I can't just keep freezing this. This is eventually going to be a problem for me, right? So I have to send in my Yeti here, I think. I send my Yeti and my Flame Flinger here to deal with it. Yeti did luckily take care of it. However, notice my queen is already taking a ton of damage, and there's only 2 expos on her right now. That is a problem. She's taking a lot of damage, and I have to invest a lot early on. You don't want to be investing rages like this so early. I did wall break into the base, but she's got 3 expos on her plus a cannon. Those are 4-point defenses, 3 of them being really strong. And yeah, that's a problem. So notice that my queen just goes to ability really quickly here. She doesn't really have enough to deal with the rest of this base. to really this rest of this damage, and she's kind of walking around it. So after this, also the Flamefinger got locked onto. This entire attack's already gone very poorly. So at this point, there's not really much left. It's just kind of GG. The healers are all dead. And at this point, I knew this was a fail because like there's no way I can Lalo all of this, right? It's just too much. So at this point, the attack kind of just fizzled out, and Lalo was not able to do very much. It just kind of fell apart. So the lesson to learn from that is really the problem with that part of the attack was that the queen charge died so early. Not maybe not the queen charge, but like at least the healers died very early. Okay, you never want your queen or your healers to die early, because they're responsible for taking so much of the base. They're responsible for cutting out enough of the base that you can just Lalo the rest of it, and that's not what happened in this attack, right? So you don't want to be charging into bases of really heavy damage like that. Here I'm going to do a couple of attacks. I think I have 2 armies ready, yeah. And I will just do a couple of them in front of you, to kind of demonstrate what I'm doing. Yeah. Okay, let's go right in. Okay, this base has a lot of DPS. I don't know if I want to queen charge though, something like this. Could I? I think I technically could. Maybe if I charge in this corner here. I don't like it. I would say don't queen charge your base like that. I think probably a blizzard on that one is a good idea. Oh, this is okay. This is a very, very classic layout. I think this one is like, okay, first of all, you should not be using bases like this because they're so common. But this one I think can be tripled with a queen charge Lalo. There's not insane DPS in the middle. It's kind of DPS is kind of spread out. So I think I'm gonna attack this. I'm gonna funnel. Okay. All right. That thing's one shot. We'll send a loon for that. That also distracts the Expo. Oh, she's low health. If she's low, a lot of DPS. Okay. I'm gonna send the Yeti here. Okay, now let's focus on the queen charge. Okay. Oh, that Expo's in range? Yeah, okay, that's terrible base design then. That Expo should not be in range like that. Okay, once she steps up to the queen, I gotta rage. Yeah, I'm gonna jump like this. I want her to take the town hall. And the eagle. She's getting a lot of value in this queen charge. That's why this base is just not good at all. For this. Okay, I can start my king and RC, I think, or okay, you don't want to lose focus on your queen charge for your king and your RC if she's about to take a ton of damage. She's about to engage the down hall. I think I can just kind of okay, never mind. I don't like the Expo locking on. Okay, now I'm gonna send the king and RC. I think it's a little bit we waited a little long for that. Now let's focus back. Let's wall break her that area. Yeah, she's gonna take a ton of value here. She's gonna get that scatter. Okay, I'm gonna freeze that Expo. I don't like it. Oh shoot. Okay, that's my bad. I should have been paying attention to that. Okay, she might die here, but she's taking out way more than enough value, so we can send the Lalo now. And we do have the time. This should be a triple if I had to predict right now. Even if the rest of my queen charge is basically gone, but that's okay. There's no enemy heroes left. I don't need to use the warn ability on the headhunters. But yeah. And I'm not even doing a good Lalo here, right? This is like I'm just spamming the loons. And I missed the freeze. But that's okay. Oh, the warden warden ability went off manually because automatically because of that. Okay, yeah, there's nothing left in the base. We can space is gone. And yeah. The queen is still alive. She actually turned all the way down to where there was nothing left in the base, which is kind of surprising. But yeah, that was a pretty simple triple. That base is an example of one that's really that base is pretty common, I'd say. I've seen that a lot. And that's one that I think is also quite an easy one to take down. So, you can remember stuff like that. We'll go right in. We'll just reinforce the CC. And yeah, we'll just go right in. Town Hall 14. I don't like it. I don't think I can. I'm not gonna hit a Town Hall 14. This is a Town Hall 13 guide. This is a lot of DPS. This is also a common layout, I think. Not as common as the last one, but I have seen this before. This layout. Although I don't think I've seen it with the two Infernos next to each other like that. That's a little bit odd. I actually believe in my ability to queen charge this. I'm gonna queen charge it. Okay. Yeah, you'll notice I kind of have like a system for how I deploy stuff. But that's what I'm doing right now. Shit, I should funnel that top side. We're sending the king of the RC early. Oh shit. Okay, we're fine. I would send the king in the RC early so that they could funnel that top area. Okay. This is all right. This is exactly what I've wanted so far. Okay, again, we're just investing. Oh shit, what the flame finger popped so early? Okay, that's terrible base design if the queen can reach it from there. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, this space is fucked. Sorry for my language if you're a viewer under like 13 or something. I don't know. Okay, yeah, this base is gone. That middle part was the hardest part, honestly. That's like trying to think about okay. Now my queen might die to that single, so I should technically start the Lalo early. But even if the queen dies, I think I'm okay. And she probably won't die. She doesn't even get in range of the single, I think. And I still have 9 below. Oh shit, she does die. I spoke to. Wait, what? Yo, she's actually alive. Never mind. Wait, can I keep her alive? Okay, next challenge. We gotta keep this queen alive. If she hits a trap, we're fucked. Oh, she died. Rip. Whatever. Well, it's all right. The attack very clearly tripled, right? I was actually kind of worried for a minute because I thought the queen wouldn't reach the town hall from there, but I was very wrong about that. So yeah, I think that was that. Let me think. That base, it felt like it had a lot of DPS in the middle where my queen was charging into, but it didn't. It's like my queen didn't really have that much trouble. I mean, I did have to invest a couple freezes, but that's expected. You should invest freezes in areas like that. So yeah, I think I mean the base was poorly designed. I'll say that. But it's okay. A lot of bases are pretty poorly designed. There's not too many that will actually be defending against Queen Charge Lalo so easily. So I think if you learn the Queen Charge Lalo, at least first you do want to be targeting those easy bases. That's how you improve. You start out with the easy bases that you think are pretty easy to 3-star, and then you kind of gain more experience with the attack, understand the ideas behind it, and then as you progress, you start to learn how to triple those higher bases. So this was pretty much my guide on how to do it, on how to hit this base, or how to hit these how to hit bases with Queen Charge Lalo like this. There is kind of a systematic way that I've been doing it, but obviously I encourage you to modify modify this attack in any way that you think is really good, that you think might improve your way on how you triple an attack. Um, I think there's a lot of nice things you could do. This guide is not supposed to instantly teach you. You're not supposed to know how to queen charge Lalo base in like 30 minutes just by watching this video. But what you should be able to do, what you should take away from this video is you want to be able to take this video and start learning learn these as fundamentals. The ideas that I've shown you, know like what the basic parts of this attack have been, and then use those basic fundamentals and kind of build on them. And on your future attacks, you can take a look, learn little things about the attack, learn little things about the bases that you're hitting, maybe notice the common bases that you're hitting, that and notice and start to learn like anything that might not seem very obvious to you, and you just kind of learn through experience, right? Like, for example, that thing earlier what I said about the king, deploying the king early so that the eagle locks into him. That's something that I only learned from experience. I didn't really learn that from someone else like talking to me about that or telling me that, but it's just something I noticed from my attacks. A lot of times my king was, or a lot of times I failed a lot of times just because my healers were getting locked onto by the eagle. And I was like, okay, now let's kind of adapt to that situation, right? So always make those adaptations. Use this guide as a framework. And I wish you the best of luck in learning the Queen Charge Lalo a little bit more. Okay, good job.